Yes, people, it's Loki Man 07 back here to talk about Persona 4 Golden. Once again, Atlas has impressed me with their knowledge of the occult in this game. Okay, once again, this game deals with witchcraft and the Circle of Eight. There is so much I want to talk about in this game, so much. I'm just going to talk about three characters I find interesting: the hero himself, Marie, and Teddie. If you have seen my Persona 5 occult studies, you know what you're in for. Strap yourself in as we start off with the Zero hero himself. People, when it comes to breaking down characters in the Persona games, you will not hear anybody break down characters of Persona like this. This is not going to be trivial talk. This is not going to be hi guys, did you know that Izanagi is, you know, the Japanese god of blah blah blah? It's not going to be one of those. We're going to break this shit right down. Strap yourself in. Okay, first of all, we're going to start off with the number 0. Alright, let's go. So people, let's start off with the main character of this game. The main character of this game, in this game, unlike Joker, he doesn't have a code name or anything. He's just known as Hero. This is not a common thing in Shin Megami Tensei games. They name the characters based on the principles. His other canon name is Yu. This is the name that Atlas themselves used, not anybody from any anime or anything. The name that Atlas themselves use is Yu, which is YU, which is a play on the word you, which is Y-O-U. The main character is you, the person. You are the fool. So even in tarot, the fool always represents you, right? That's why you'll never have a fool card in your deck when through divination, because the fool is already there, which is you. You take the fool out, just like in most card games you take the Joker out of the deck. All right, because just like in tarot, when you're at the casino, you are the Joker, you are the fool, you are the player. That is the rules of tarot, and we're going to get into why 0 can represent anybody. Okay, why 0 is linked to shape-shifting as a number, and it's really simple stuff when I get into these numbers. Just like in the Persona 5 video, we're going to talk about the number, its attributes, and why it's attributed to real things. So let's get into this. What is the number 0? So obviously 0 is the fool. Okay, we're going to get into the card itself, but before we get into the card itself, let's talk about the number, what it does. Okay, all right, so 0 obviously represents potential. All right, the potential to imitate and elevate. All right, the beginnings. The 0 is a genderless number. It is the only genderless number, right? And it's going to make sense by the end of this study. 0, okay, mirrors whatever is added to it, right? And say for example you have the number 0 and then you add 1 to 0, you still get the number 1. If you have the number 0 and you add 2 to 0, you still get the number 2. Okay, so 0 shapeshifts, it mimics whatever is added to it. No other number does this. Okay, all numbers create a new principle when combined with another, but 0 replicates that added number. Now in reverse, if 0 is added to a number, it elevates that frequency. So say for example we have the number 12 and we stack a 0 on the number 12, we now have 120, a completely new frequency and a higher frequency. We have now elevated the number 12. Now this, what I'm explaining here, how numbers act, how they behave during subtraction and adding, is how deities work and how they how they function, and I'm going to get into that a little bit later, but stick with me here, right? So let's continue. Now this behavior of 0, so if we say that 0 being the first number is its lower end, and being the last number is its higher end, because being the last number will elevate whatever number is before it, and obviously if it's before the number, it's at its lowest point, representing actual 0, nothing. That's how this character behaves, okay? When he's in the world of 0 and he comes across entities or IDs, identities, he's able to replicate them. Thus, he's a persona user that can use any persona. In the real world, where there is math, time, and continuity, when entities come to him, he elevates them. He takes them to new heights. And this is the same for Joker in Persona 5. The act of 0 is the act that the character is actually playing. And so how the number behaves is how the characters behave, and it's the same for every single character, their numbers and their frequencies. And of course, the description in the tarot, okay? It's going to get that out there as we go through this, because it's going to get really, really interesting. Okay, so people, like I said, the behavior of the numbers represents the behavior of the gods. If the Fool is 0, and 0 represents beginnings, new potential, and the birth of all things, it has to be ruled by a god that is also that principle. So the Fool's ruling planet is Uranus, and in the zodiac, Uranus rules over Aquarius, which is the primordial waters, the man pouring a pitcher of water. In culture, in Western culture, Uranus is in January, of course, and January is our first year. So Uranus we celebrate that principle all the time. The first month is named after this entity, Janus, which also represents new beginnings. New Year's Day is a worship of Janus principle. Therefore, we go from December into January. Okay, and this is all linked to the Fool card, because, like I said, the Fool card is ruled over by Uranus. So this character Yu, who is also known as Hero, and Hero means Heru, okay? Hero just means Heru. I'll break that down, alright? But it just literally, Hero comes from the word Heru and the god Horus. And this explains the color scheme of the game. You see, in Persona 5, when I was talking about the Joker, I was talking about how he's the pole of the sky, the cardinal. Now, in this game, you are also the pole of the sky and the cardinal. But it's not about getting access to people's hearts personally for Hero. Teddie is there to do that. He's the binder of hearts, and we're going to get into Teddie as well. It's going to be amazing when I get into Teddie. Trust me. Teddie is the best character in this game. Okay, hands down. It's hilarious. But yes, Heru or Hero represents the pole of the sky, the sun itself, and of course the color scheme of yellow. So Joker being the cardinal represented black and red. You or the hero being the hero representing yellow, right? So that is why the color scheme of the game is yellow. Now, last thing I want to talk about when it comes to the Fool card is that the Fool card is the Joker card. In the cards of illumination, the Fool is the Joker, and this is why Adachi's card is called the Joker. There is 2 Jokers in a pack of cards, 2 Fool cards in a pack of tarot, right? So you have the Fool of color, the colorful Fool, the happy clown, and you got the sad clown. Adachi plays the sad clown, or the Joker, and this is also linked to Batman's Joker. Okay, he represents chaos, freedom, and of course new beginnings.
I learned about the Midnight Channel through some rumor. You hear a lot of fishy stories like that on the Force. But it was pure coincidence that I touched the screen and discovered my power. I burst out laughing when I found out. I knew right away that this was going to be interesting.
Because when I described the number 0, you should have also clocked that this is why Loki behaves the way he does. All of the gods that are linked to the Fool card, all of the entities that are linked to the Fool card behave in this way. Okay, they're shapeshifters. Okay, they can change their shape. They're tricksters. Okay, all this is linked to the god Izanagi. Okay, Izanagi is the beginning of the world in Japanese mythology, of the physical world. All the things that are birthed and are connected to the physical world, whether entity or human or animal, came from Izanagi and Izanami. Right, Izanami birthed them. For example, she through their consorting or their copulation, right, they created the sun, the moon, the earth, everything, the demons and the angels. Okay, and after Izanami fell into the underworld, Izanagi seeded them. Okay, so that's how Amaterasu came into being and became the spirit of the sun, but the sun already existed, birthed through the mother goddess. So the sky god, the celestial Izanagi, can be directly linked to Uranus or however you want to pronounce it, Uranus. Okay, the link is right there, and the link is also there in the game. Atlas don't play around when it comes to this stuff, trust me. They know what they're doing.
I see. Now, let's take a look into your future, shall we?
People, when it comes to the occult aspects of this game, right, obviously I talk about the occult aspects of other games. This series, Shin Megami Tensei Persona 4, like I said, is based upon Shin Megami Tensei. I am currently playing the game Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne, and I'm about to go into the occult a bit. This game, right, is built on occult principle. Okay, this is not a conspiracy channel or anything like that. It's just that I know what I'm seeing. So we're going to go into that because this series is built upon occult principles. If you do not see this, or you have some kind of, adverse reaction to the whole concept, back out now. Okay, we won't be talking about some weird stuff. The tarot deck in this card that is used is not a traditional Italian tarot deck. It's the Aleister Crowley deck, where the Justice card is the number 8, for example, and not the number 11, but that doesn't matter. So I will be referencing Aleister Crowley a little bit in this video. Okay, like I said, if you have an adverse mental reaction to those type of things, back out now, because I'm not looking at this as an occultist. I am not looking at this as a religious figure. I am breaking down something that is right before me. Okay, so let's get into it, because like I said, it's Shin Megami Tensei. What do you expect?
What? It's an occult magazine? Why would you bring something like that here?
Okay, people, so Aleister Crowley, the reason why he's so famous is because he's one of the few people that understand the occult to the T. He doesn't subscribe time and things like that to gods at all, so he ends up sounding contradictory to people who research his research when they say that a god is parent, is an entity, but then that entity that is his parent, he existed before that entity even exists. He understands exactly why that happens, because gods do not attribute to time and continuity like real people do. Okay, gods and goddesses spawn from each other as principles, not as actual physical beings. For example, Horus is Osiris. Okay, he just actually is Osiris. Osiris's son Horus is the same character Osiris, for example, etc., etc. So Osiris is also Geb, his father, and things like that. They're just principles replicating themselves when they reflect upon another principle. So what I'm going to talk about to you now is how this whole idea of Uranus or Ra, or God himself El, the sky god, is Horus, or is the divine clown. This is where you get the whole thing in literature about the divine comedy, what that metaphor means. The divine comedy is life. The comedian is God. God is the comedian. God is a clown. God is the joker, the fool. All right, and how it's linked to entities that are tricksters and that are male generative forces. So just like how Loki is a male generative force, he's a male that can do anything a female can do. So is Uranus, or Calum, or Salem. Let's take a look at this. Calus, or Colus, was a primal god of the sky in Roman myth and theology, iconography and literature. Open brackets, compare Calum, the Latin word for sky or heaven, hence English celestial. The deity's name usually appears in masculine grammatical form when he is conceived of as a male generative force. So what it means by male generative force is a male that can birth things. Okay, just like Loki, the trickster god, is a male that can birth things. He's genderless, right? He's a non-binary. Okay, and so is Calus. Calus, or Calum, is the Roman equivalent of the Greek Uranus or Uranus. All right, let's keep that in mind. In Greek mythology, Uranus, okay, sometimes written Oranos, is the personification of the sky and one of the Greek primordial deities. According to the Hesiod, Uranus was the son and husband of Gaia, which is Earth, with whom he fathered the first generation of Titans. However, no cult addressed directly to Uranus survived into classical times, and Uranus does not appear among the usual themes of Greek painted pottery. Elemental earth, sky, and Styx might be joined. Okay, the thing is about Uranus and why you don't see direct attributes to him is because, just like God, if you was to look into Christianity in 1,000 years, it would be hard to find people actually having a figure for or worshipping Yahweh. Okay, you just see Jesus everywhere. It's the same thing, and this is how the concept of Janus comes into being, because Janus, the Roman Janus, is the conduit for prayer for aspects of Calum or Uranus. Okay, just like how Jesus is a conduit for prayer to the god Jehovah or Yahweh. And as you can see, it says here that Uranus is associated with the Roman god Calus, okay, or Salus, or Celeste, because that's going to be celestial, okay, meaning the sky god. Okay, so check this out about Janus and how it's linked to the two cards. Okay, Janus presided over the beginning and ending of conflict, and hence war and peace. The gates of a building in Rome named after him were opened in time of war and closed to mark the arrival of peace. As a god of transition, he had functions of pertaining to birth, and to journey and exchange. And in this association with Portunus, a similar harbour and gateway god, he's concerned with traveling, trading and shipping. And as you can see, he also has this attribute of birthing, because like I said, just like Loki, just like the Joker, what have you, he's two-faced, okay, and has the attributes of a female, right, which is generative functioning, okay, just like Uranus, okay. And of course he has two heads, just like the Fool card has two forms, and the Joker card also has two forms. He has two heads. He also presides over beginnings and endings of conflict, which is what the hero is going to do in this game. And of course he's going to preside over that principle. All of this is linked. All of it is linked. This whole thing about Uranus and these and choice, the two heads, is about your experience, okay? Just like with what I was saying in the Final Fantasy X mythology breakdown about how the zodiac represents you, the sun represents you, going through the sky represents you. This is also you, okay? And how you perceive things, all right? So Adachi and Hero are the same character, perceiving things differently. Adachi sees everything as a game. He doesn't take it seriously. He doesn't form bonds, and of course that ends up being his downfall. It's the same as Odin and Loki, because Loki is Odin's opposite or shadow. Odin is wise, Loki is cunning. Odin is the magician, Loki is the magician. Odin is the beginning of Asgard. Loki is the ending and sets off Ragnarok. Not in the Thor movies, in the real mythology. The thing about this game, Shin Megami Tensei, Shin meaning true, Megami, Gami means god, Me is feminine, so true goddess, and Tensei meaning rebirth. That's what all of these games are about. They're about the aspects of thought being reborn. So of course the main character represents a rebirth of the sky god. That's going to be Horus, and like I said, influences the color scheme of the game. Yellow being the energy of the sun, Horus being the sun god and the sky god. And Atlas is so good when it comes to these things, that you being a silent protagonist, being linked to Horus and being linked to being silent, and even the characters themselves in the game address the fact that the main character does not speak much. The main character is a keeper of secrets, because obviously he plays a warlock, somebody who is messing around with the astral plane, a witch, so to speak, and therefore does not speak on his activities. It's all a secret. He's the keeper of secrets. And of course young Horus, or Harpocrates, meaning Horus child, is the god of silence, okay? Horus the boy child is the keeper of secrets. So of course you and your crew of 7 other people making this this completion of the number 8 becomes a coven, and that coven of course cannot express its secrets. They have powers using the thought realm, the astral plane, governing the physical realm to their will, okay? And they do it even more than the whole confession thing in Persona 5, that allegory, because they are literally making people escape death itself, okay? And it's done so well in this game. Harpocrates being the keeper of secrets and the silent protagonist of this game, I think that is such an excellent touch. When you see pictures of Harpocrates, he has the finger over the mouth, okay? He of course is also the divine clown, with the finger over his lips. You get me? The Keeper of Secrets. That is a whole study unto itself. I wish I could go into everything in this game, but we want to talk about some other characters a little bit. So let's get into Teddie. Okay.
Wait a sec. If I come and save Emi-chan, that's like an arrow straight through the heart, right? It's so hot! Whoa! What the? Much better.
No way!
Now that hit the spot.
Okay, people. Teddie is a demigod, okay, making him a hero, okay, and he's born from himself, Teddie, right? Teddie, the mascot, gave birth to Teddie the human, and this is linked to Uranus and his ability to birth things. Teddie is linked to the sea of consciousness, okay, Aquarius, because Teddie is the number 17, okay, which is the star card, and the star card is ruled over by Uranus. When the hero's thought form to become a hero came into being, Teddie came into being, but Teddie was always around because there is no time. Time is only for those who are in the real. But Teddie himself, of course, is an entity outside of time and has always existed as a shadow. But like I said, he's linked to the hero, and thus the hero becoming a hero made Teddie have thought form, the thought form have form, physical form, and it all started in the underworld. And when Teddie started to form in the underworld as a cosmic egg, this potential gave birth to Teddie the human as a demigod. And that's what this is all about, because Teddie is a primordial force, a primal force or primordial force, and that primordial force is the Cupid. Okay, Teddie is the Cupid, and he's very, 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 very vocal about this. Teddie is cannot escape his erotic thoughts, because Cupid is the god of love and eroticism. Okay, and we're gonna get all into that. So let's start off with the star card. The star card, right? I always talk about things being the right side up or upside down, and if you look into tarot, you'll see that principle straight away. Just a Google search, just click on any tarot video, and it will tell you that the star card upside down represents a lack of faith, despair, self-trust, and disconnection. Right, so when we have a lack of faith, we're talking straight about Teddie when you meet him, which is of course Teddie upside down before hero flips him the right side up, which he does to every character that is in his social links. Right, so Teddie starts off with a lack of faith. Literally the most lack of faith you'll ever see in a character. He doesn't believe he can fight or anything. You don't even suspect that he's going to be a character in your party. He doesn't fight. He's afraid to fight. His world is all despair. He has a complete self-trust. He trusts no one. And of course he's disconnected from the real world. Alright, so there straight away you can see that they are writing this character around the principle of the star card. When the hero reflects his light, the yellow, the sun, upon Teddie, Teddie becomes right side up, okay, which represents hope, faith, purpose, renewal, spirituality. And of course this is all played out in his story, because Teddie is complete hope, blind hope, blissful ignorance and faith. Okay, he has a purpose, right? He gains purpose to find out who he is and find out about this world. He represents renewal. He literally renews as an actual physical human. And it's about spirituality. Nobody understands the spiritual world more than Teddie. Okay? So here's one thing about the star card that you won't find just by Googling. Alright? The star card and the principle of the star itself is linked to fame. Literally fame. Okay? To become a star, a celebrity, or an idol. So this is how Teddie becomes the mascot of Janus. He's also the mascot of this game. Right? In Persona 5, Hifumi is the star card, and she's pretty much a celebrity in the chess world because it's literally linked to being a star or an idol. Okay? When you look at how Teddie is dressed, okay, it seems like it's inspired by Valentine's Day itself. He has a rose on his chest where his pocket would be, his chest pocket. He has a rose sticking out of it because he represents Eros. And we're going to get all into that. We're going to get all into it because this shit is amazing.
Hey there, little lady. Want to launch some fireworks of love with me?
People, the game does not hesitate to hint at you that, you know, Teddie is the god of love, right? And eroticism. Check this out. In classical mythology, Cupid, meaning passionate desire, is the god of desire, erotic love, attraction and affection. He's often portrayed as the son of the love goddess Venus and the god of war Mars. He's also known as Amor, as in love. His Greek counterpart is Eros. Although Eros is generally portrayed as a slender-winged youth in classical Greek art, during the Hellenistic period he was increasingly portrayed as a chubby boy. During this time, his iconography acquired the bow and arrow that represents the source of his power. So Cupid wasn't always depicted as a kid with a bow and a chubby kid with a bow and arrow. He's usually depicted as a slender young man or a slender young boy. All right, the Cupid as we know him, looking like this chubby kid with the nappy and bow and arrow, came much later, like 1,000 years later. It's insane. But let's get into this. Okay, so just to show you how much this stuff is right there, right? This year, the most talked about celebrity or star card is Jonathan Majors. And Jonathan Majors, the last magazine shoot he did was for St. Valentine's Day, which represents the Cupid, St. Valentine, and of course the Greek god Eros. And if you look at how Jonathan Majors was depicted in those pictures, it's very hypersexual, of course, but then you'll see he's dressed very similar to Teddie, which is with the rose on his chest pocket, etc., because that represents the god Eros, the god of love and eroticism. Okay, it's mad, right? But it's right there in the celebrity world. Let's continue and hear what Eros is, because Eros is short for erotic. Erotic means to act like Eros, the god of love. Okay, so check this out. The Romans interpreted myths and concepts pertaining to the Greek Eros for Cupid in their own literature and art, and medieval Renaissance mythographers conflate the two freely. In Greek tradition, Eros had a dual, contradictory genealogy. He was among the primordial gods who came into existence asexually after his generation. Deities were begotten through male and female unions. In Hesiod, Theogony, only Chaos and Gaia are older. Before the existence of gender dichotomy, Eros functioned by causing entities to separate from themselves, which they already contained. And as you can see, Teddie brought from himself something which he already contained, which was the human Teddie. Okay, so let's continue. At the same time, the Eros that was pictured as a boy or slim youth was regarded as the child of the divine couple, right? The identity of whom varied by source. The influential Renaissance mythographer Natalie Conti began his chapter on Cupid and Eros by declaring that the Greeks themselves were unsure about his parentage. It could be heaven and earth, it could be Ares and Aphrodite, night and ether, or strife and Zephyr. And the reason that is because it does not matter. Aphrodite is Gaia or is Earth, okay? Mars is the sun, right? Or what have you. They're all just aspects of themselves rebirthing, okay? That's what people used to understand in old times. But when you look back and you try to put it into concept, you're going to think vicariously. I have a mother and my mother isn't me, so therefore that person's mother can't be him, or it's a god. Cupid is old, primordial. It existed in the sea of consciousness. So when he was birthed by Aphrodite, he was younger than him. He came out of the sea of consciousness, okay? Once again, because he had already been out of the sea of consciousness, because he's Horus, okay? Right? Or he's Apollo. Okay, even Apollo is good with bow and arrows, just like the Cupid is good with bow and arrows, just like Hippocrates is Horus. Okay, it's the same thing over and over again. I hope it's starting to make sense. People, if you have played this game, there is no need for me to harp on about how Teddie has a huge problem with eroticism and how he influences the males to act upon the erotic thoughts and desires. That's his whole shtick. He does it through the entire game. He doesn't stop. He's on smoke. And it's really like at some points this character is actually hilarious. Like I said, he's to me the funniest character in the game. He started off so annoying and I thought I'd hate him, and it turns out that he is the funniest character in the game. He's hilarious. So let's look into more things about the inspirations for this character, because of course everything I said about Hero, his card being linked to Uranus, is also linked to Teddie to a different degree. The Hero represents a demigod as a metaphor. Teddie represents a demigod literally in the game. And this aspect of being linked to a god like Izanagi, okay, is also linked to Teddie himself. When I was talking about the Izanagi card, when I was talking about Izanagi the god, I showed a picture, an old illustration of Izanagi with his back facing, and he's bathing himself, and this is from the Japanese mythology of after trying to pursue Izanami into the world of Yami or hell. When he comes out, he has to purify himself, get the smell of death off him. And check this out in the picture. You will see that Izanagi has 1 foot on earth. This represents the physical world, right, and the conscious world. And he has another foot on water, representing the great sea, the subconscious world. And then let's have a look at the star card. You will see that there is a female who is naked, representing being exposed or vulnerable, with 1 foot on the earth, representing continuity, time, and the physical world, and 1 foot in the waters, representing the unconscious world and the spiritual world, right? Because of course the star card is linked to Uranus, who is linked to Izanagi, right? That's how deep it goes. And of course Atlas also used this imagery and this concept of the star card to write the character Teddie, who is a visitor of 2 worlds. He is a resident of the spiritual world, but can also put one foot onto physical land. So he's got one part of him in this the subconscious world and one part of him in the physical world, spiritual and physical. All that stuff is interesting. The number 17 itself, okay, is a masculine number because it is uneven. All right. The number 17 is the masculine version of the feminine number, which is 8. The number 8, okay, represents the sun. 8 is linked to the word act or action, act, right? And if you explore the language of 8, it's a very interesting concept, maybe in another video, okay? But all of the numbers that are at a higher frequency in tarot represent the same thing as the lower numbers at a different degree, like I have mentioned in previous videos speaking about numbers. So for example, you have the Lovers card, which is 6, and then you have the Devil card, which is 15, but 15 is a 1 and a 5, so 1 plus 5 equals 6, and you can easily see that these two cards are perversions of each other, right? Well, that also works with the number 8, which represents strength or justice, and of course the Star card, okay? Obviously the sun is a star. Technically, the reason why the sun and the number 8 are linked is because the number 8 is the pattern of the sun. It's the pattern that the sun makes in the sky, which kind of looks like an 8 or a DNA strand. If you do not know this, look this up yourself. As the sun passes through the air, it makes this winding shape, and this is also the shape of infinity, which is linked to the life cycle, the sun cycle, and like infiniteness, right, which comes from the number 8, okay, which is also the basis of the number 17 and the star. Like I said, a star is a sun, and of course this brightness of a star, this illumination, is what links stars to the human act of being an idol, because a star is an attention grabber, right? And so is an idol, a celebrity, or an action star, for example. So yes, people, I am running out of time here, and I want to get this video out, so I will continue this video and talk more about Teddie, the number 17, and its link to the sun and Uranus in future videos. I also have to talk about Bizarro Teddie. I know everybody's got 2 heads, but in this game, with their shadow self, which is a principle, I would love to talk about the psychology and things as well, and I will do at your request. I know there's quite a few people that have subscribed to this channel. I know that there are quite a few people that watch these videos and shadow watch them. I know also that this conversation is a hard one to join in on, but if you would like any characters broken down from Persona 5 or this one, Persona 4, let me know in the comments below, and I will get right on it as quickly as possible. The more you interact instead of shadow watching, the more I will react, and the more content you get. If I think there is of course demand, I will react to that demand. You heard it here first. Thank you for watching, people. If you made it this far, like and subscribe and share. Thank you, people. Peace.